Human has been neutralized.
Hi guys, this week I'm going to talk about rollover, ghosting, blocking and other related things because a lot of people get really confused by all this and there's frequent misunderstandings. So I'm going to tell you what it all means, how it works, why it can be a problem sometimes, and what you can do to delimit it. First off, a definition. Rollover tells you how many keys you can press at the same time, at the very least. Most keyboards, even mechanical ones, have 2-key rollover, so you're only guaranteed 2 keys at the same time. But that's not to say that you can never have more than 2. After all, otherwise Control-Alt-Delete wouldn't work. Most 2-key rollover layouts allow many 6-key combos or more. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to press the keys on the home row in order at the same time, and then I'll show you which ones are detected by the computer. So A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, semicolon. And now you'll see that the semicolon wasn't detected. But if I press A, S, X, and Z, it already stops at the 4th key. See, it doesn't detect the Z. In order to explain that, let me show you how the keyboard actually works. Underneath the keyboard is a matrix of traces, horizontal and vertical. The horizontal lines are connected to the vertical ones by the switches, which are open by default. Rubber dome keyboards have these traces printed on a membrane. Most mechanical keyboards have them on a PCB. Now what the keyboard does is it sends a signal down through each of the columns in turn and then listens on the rows to see which switches have been closed. And that's how it knows what keys are being pressed. Let's take this example keyboard matrix. Suppose we press the keys A, S, and X in that order, and I hold them all down simultaneously. First, the keyboard polls column 1 by sending current along it, and because switch A is closed, the current can make its way through onto row B. So B lights up when 1 is being polled, so coordinate B1 is being pressed, which is the A key. However, because switch S is also pressed, the current can make its way through to column 2. And then onto row C via switch X, which is also closed. So the controller also sees coordinate C1, which is the Z key, but that's not being pressed. This phenomenon is called ghosting, keys being detected when they're not actually pressed. But that's pretty retarded though, no one would live with that. So in order to prevent ghosting from occurring, the controller uses something called blocking. When it sees that there is a situation in which it can't know for sure whether a key is being pressed or not, it ignores the input, rather than risk detecting a key that isn't pressed. Some keys claim to have higher rollover, like 6-key rollover, which means they just laid out the matrix in a more efficient way, but it's still limited to a certain number of key presses. To be able to press as many keys as you want at the same time, you need N-key rollover, which can be achieved in 2 ways. First of all, if every switch has a diode soldered in, the current can't make its way through the circuitry in unintended pathways. So there's no reason to apply blocking to any of the inputs. Therefore, these keyboards have N-key rollover. Second, you can use switches that don't use conduction, so in which this phenomenon can't occur to begin with. For example, capacitive, Hall effect, inductive, magnetic valve, etc. Higher limit and N-key rollover is heavily marketed towards the gamer audience in an attempt to sell more keyboards, and is very effective because a lot of gamers strongly believe they really need it, even though many of them don't actually understand what it means or how it works. I've been gaming for 25 years, I've played hundreds of games, young and old, and the only game I've played so far in which I really felt it was absolutely necessary is Surgeon Simulator. I'm not saying it's not useful at all. Some games do benefit from it. You know, on the rare occasion I would strafe jump diagonally while leaning around a corner tossing a flashbang, it might block the reload button from time to time. But I sometimes get comments saying,
"This keyboard is totally useless because it doesn't have N-key rollover."
and that's just complete and utter bullshit. Don't believe everything just because a manufacturer wants you to buy their expensive stuff. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, and join me again next week when we look at what kinds of keycaps are out there.
Human has been neutralized.